So to finish up this part of the unit, the breakfast protein. So when we talk about proteins, again, I'm going to do eggs as a whole separate part of the unit. I could teach an entire class on eggs, so I'm really going to focus just on the meats when it comes here to the proteins. So we're looking at ham, bacon, Canadian bacon, sausage, hash, and steak. So pork products are the most common of the breakfast items. Bacon, sausage, ham, Canadian bacon, these are all made from different parts of a pig, of pork, and they are typically smoked or cured meats as well. So when it comes to these type of meats, you can find vegetarian versions. You can find these sometimes made out of turkey, which are very different. Those are a heavily processed item, but for people that live a pork-free diet, you would want to make sure that you are doing turkey on that. So for the breakfast proteins, ham is really common, and so this is pre-cooked ham is most often what you purchase. A lot of restaurants don't cook their own hams down. Ham made in large quantities is usually baked. Bacon is the side of a pig or pork belly, and this is usually smoked. Turkey bacon and smoked flavored bacons are available, and then Canadian bacon is different. So that is a boneless pork loin, so it's a much leaner product, and that is usually smoked and brine, and then it's usually just have a little thin layer on its surface of fat, but it is a lighter or leaner product, usually not quite as smoky. Sausage is a ground up meat product, and so that is usually ground pork and it has been seasoned. If you are getting links, that is a stuffed into casings product. You can also get patties, which is a loose ground product. And this can also be made of chicken or turkey for the breakfast sausage. Breakfast sausage is flavored different than like your Polish sausage or your kielbasa or your other ground like bratwurst, and they have different seasonings in there. Hash is a chopped meat, and that is usually mixed with potatoes, onions, and seasonings, and that is usually fried together until brown. Corned beef hash or roast beef hash is really common, but you can also do that with bacon or sausage. If you get a breakfast skillet on a menu, then that is usually what you're getting there. Steak is also really common. Paired with eggs. Round tip steaks are used for breakfast. Strip steaks are really common. You don't usually find like a ribeye or a sirloin or a top end steak. Usually breakfast steaks are usually real thin and they're just kind of hot and fast on the griddle. Country ham is different than city ham. So we're going back to the ham. So city ham is not as salty or as cured of a product. It has been cured, it has been smoked. Country ham usually denotes that there is a very particular taste and flavor with that, and it is a saltier product. It is cured a little different. So around the world too, fish is usually served with various breakfasts. So sometimes that is served cold. So cold smoked salmon, which is actually not a real cooked product. Kippers, trout, these are really common with breakfasts. And then I did talk there about the hash as well. But in bagels, a lot of people do bagels, cream cheese, and like a smoked salmon or a kipper. That's really common. So bacon and sausage do shrink quite a bit when they're cooked. They are about 70% fat. You do need to cook the sausage completely. You can buy pre-cooked sausage, and that will save you on time. The ham or Canadian bacon is just kind of lightly browned. Canadian bacon is that boneless pork loin, so you don't want to overcook it. If you overcook it, it's going to make it dry and then not very good. When it comes to bacon, two common ways in a restaurant that these are cooked. You can cook it in a skillet, but this creates a little bit more of a mess. It has a tendency to curl up a little bit more. A big flat griddle, remember from, we've talked about griddles before, you cook directly on a griddle. That's different than that flat top stove that you have to put a pot or pan on. Cooking a lot of bacon off in a skillet can be very time consuming. On the griddle is better, but for restaurants or for people that are cooking lots of bacon off at one time, the oven is usually the preferred method. So when doing it on the oven, you want to go about 375, maybe 400 for your thicker cut. and you want to put a little parchment paper. Do not let the parchment paper hang over the sides of the pan. It can catch on fire, it can burn, it can be too small. It can't be too big. So if a little bit of the bottom of your pan is not covered in parchment paper, that's fine. You can have a smaller piece in the center. The parchment paper is just to keep the bacon from sticking to the bottom of the pan and having to be scraped off. So a little bit of parchment paper, lay your bacon in one single layer, do not double it up. You can make it touching, you can kind of squeeze it in. It's going to shrink quite a bit. You can still save your bacon grease, so you can still tip the corner of the pan up before you get the bacon off or after you get the bacon off, and drain that grease into a cup so that you can use that later for seasoning and for cooking. But just kind of watching the oven, you don't need to flip it. Just kind of watch it about 12 minutes. It gets crispy and brown. It will crisp up a little bit more when you take it out of the oven. You can cook bacon in the microwave. It's not the best. If you get pre-cooked bacon bits, you can kind of microwave them and finish cooking them to make them crispier. But cooking bacon from start to finish in the microwave does kind of make it a little tough. So it's not recommended, but it can be done in a pinch. But the oven is the best in a restaurant. So ham slices need to be warmed. Bacon can be cooked in frying pans or an oven. Sausage can also be cooked in bulk in the oven, finished to order on the grill. You do want to cook sausage all the way. Bacon can be cooked a little undercooked because it has been smoked and cured, so it's not quite raw. You could eat bacon out of the package and probably be okay. I don't recommend it. There's always that risk of foodborne illness, but as far as cooking bacon really crispy for safety, you're probably good. Sausage, on the other hand, make sure you cook that very well and all the way. And that is your breakfast.